feel like that's a pretty big feat to accomplish within 8 years.
Thanks for asking that. That's a question that I enjoy answering. Because you start out something in a small way, in this case, a literary journal. We reached out to people that we knew, and we asked teachers to reach out to people that they knew. That was the first issue. Then we learned how to reach a wider audience. We used internet, we used social media to reach out and let people know what we were doing. That brought us more work to consider. Magazines started to get thicker because we were getting response. And as we would put out the word, one of the ways was to have an event. And we always sponsor a literary event when we bring out a new issue. And we advertise that, we promote it. And typically it's a panel discussion on a subject that sort of comes out of that particular issue. And the most recent one, we had a panel discussion. There were over 100 people there. It was a discussion by an Israeli woman, 2 Palestinians, and an American who had been paying very close attention for many years to that conflict. So that's another way, because that puts words, you advertise and people begin to see this. Now we're at a point where we actually invite submissions through advertising, through word of mouth, certainly through people that have already submitted to us. So it continues to grow to the point where we're getting a lot of submissions from other countries, from writers in other countries, in English translations. And then there are certain situations where we ask someone who is a known writer in another country if they would have their work translated for us. And then we, as the other part of it, we pay them. How do we pay? Well, we're constantly driving for ways to increase revenue. Every year we have a big fundraiser. Throughout the year, we're kind of asking informally for people to support us. And then there's the sale of the magazine itself. So those are the sources, and as you grow, as more people know about it, the likelihood of being able to raise enough funds to keep this going increase. So we're at that point where I think there's a good future in this. I think financially we can continue to sustain what we've been doing. And we might even at some point get support from some kind of an institute or some kind of an academic program or school that would then allow us to do 2 issues a year. That would be ideal. If we could bring this out twice a year. And in a couple of years we'll have so many submissions that we'll need, because so many of them deserve to be in print, that we'll need a second issue. And that's maybe the last thing I would point out, which is this exists to promote the writers. We want good writers focusing on this particular issue of the culture of war. We want to support them, make sure that their good writing gets an audience, gets out there. We have time for one more question, or?
Sure.
Do
Yeah.
you know if the woman in the piece is Muslim?
Yes, she's a Palestinian, and there are Palestinians who are not, but the vast majority are. It's interesting that that really doesn't come through very strongly here. I think she appeals to the fact that we have to ask that question as a way of appealing to a wider audience. So she's not proselytizing. She's not saying, my God is the correct God. She's angry at God in general. Yes?
I feel like when she talks about that part with all the italics and the you and the God, it's not necessarily, I feel like it's also talking about like all the war that's going on in the United it's like a religious war, and that the people perpetrating these kinds of acts of war are the new gods of the region, because she can't actually like do anything. Like they're the ones who are in control. But like,
Yes. It's a great reading. That's the kind of reading we can bring to literature. I mean, there's a resonance, so that when you read that about the you can make that connection. You causing the death, you not responsible. You could say that the you is not just the God she's addressing, but both sides of any conflict. Literature, good stuff.
And one thing I want to say as part of the conclusion is they're going to be working on their final projects, and I'm talking to teachers around the country and asking them to see that magazine as a resource for a variety of voices, a varieties of way of understanding voices. You can go online also. It comes out once a year, but there's always book reviews there, and there's some changing stories, and access that. And they have an issue on the Cambodian genocide, or they might have an issue on Rwanda. They have a multiplicity of issues that can be wonderful resources. And I think the most important thing for us is this is one snippet, one voice of one woman. There are many other voices here that help complicate the stuff we've been looking at. And myself, I'm trained as a so-called historian, but I don't know of any way to encounter or to get deeper in the kind of topical material we're looking at without looking and using art and short story and fiction and memoir. It brings a dimension and an immediacy and a vitality that is missed in that sanitized kind of master narrative we've been looking at. And I suspect that some of the students in this room will be dealing with that issue in some kind of way. And I'm hoping, who knows, maybe one person or a couple of people here will refer to the resource. It's a tremendous resource. You know, it is a tremendous resource that's underutilized and not known about, because George is not a promoter. He's a thinker and a writer and just a good guy. So I encourage you to access the magazine. Go online and just kind of see the variety of things that they have there. It's really wonderful. And thank you so much, George, for spending time here. We really appreciate it. Okay. And if you can hang around for a couple of minutes, maybe some folks will want to chat with you. Okay, so next week, I told you we're having an artist come in, Manua Mami, and she'll be doing some interactive. George sort of foreshadowed that. Her art about her experiences with her partner who was maimed, and she uses prosthetic limbs to embroider, and she uses that as a way to give voice to those who have been immediately touched by war, and for those who are not immediately touched by war, to provide another lens to get closer to it in a way that often the head and the heart doesn't. I think you'll find that very, very powerful, and it just adds to the work we're doing. Okay, last thing I'll say, don't forget the research question, right? You know, letting me know if you want to do both the paper and the final presentation, and if you also would like at some point a conversation with me face-to-face or on phone about your thinking about your project, okay? Bundle that into your email. See you next week. Thanks a lot.